Hello. It's Brian, and this is the 2022 experimental vinyl tag for Alex at Motoric 247. And I didn't know Motoric 247 until I started seeing tags or videos for this tag, and so I thought I would do it. I originally decided that I wasn't going to do it because I wasn't sure that I had the music that matched the questions, but then I decided to go ahead and do it anyway. So here we go. And I think you should definitely go and look at his channel, because I've seen a few small number of videos, and they are very interesting collection of music, and so I thought this would be an interesting challenge. So there are 8 questions, and with the request to show 8 things to match the question. So the first is to show a record with improvised music, and I guess when I think of improvised music, I often think of jazz, because that sort of seems to be the genre that has a lot of improvised music. But one thing I thought of immediately for my CD collection was King Crimson's Thrack Attack, which is an hour of thracking, an hour of kind of heavy improvised music. Which is great. But I also wanted to show a record, so I decided to pull out, oddly, something that doesn't really fit, I think, the general notion of improvised music, because it has lyrics. And so this is an improvised piece of music from Leonard Cohen that he recorded in 1968 at the BBC. And it appears on this bootleg, Leonard Cohen in session 1968. It also is the same as this CD, Leonard Cohen at the Beeb, that's from 1993. They're both bootlegs. Oddly, the record has in it one more track than the CD does. What can I say about this? This is actually pretty good sounding, for one thing. Oddly, this is a limited edition record, a limited edition bootleg. That always cracks me up. This is number 436. How are you going to trust a bootlegging company to commit to making this limited edition? I don't know. But on here, apart from his songs that, if you know Leonard Cohen, you know all these songs are on here that you will know, So Long Marianne, etc., Such Is a Mercy. There's a song called There's No Reason Why You Should Remember Me, which is noted to be an improvisation. It's only a minute and 30 seconds long, and it's not, groundbreaking or incredible. It's a repeated lyric, but I do find it interesting that he did this, because normally I think of improvised music as being instrumental, and this is a vocal track. He did another improvised piece on a live out record from 1975, which is purely musical and had no lyrics. But this is kind of odd because it has lyrics, and it's improvised that way. So, if you're interested, this is the inside of the record, and it is on white vinyl. If you're curious, I'm sort of a Leonard Cohen completist, so I had to get that, and it sounds pretty good. As I say, the track isn't brilliant, but I thought it was interesting that it was improvised with lyrics. The second question is to show a record featuring a Moog synthesizer. Now, there are tons of things that would fit this, but I chose one of my favorites, and that's Brian Eno's Before and After Science. There are 3 tracks. Here He Comes has a Moog on it, Julie With has a mini Moog, and Through Hollow Lands for Harold Budd has a Moog on it as well. So this is the original Canadian pressing from 1977, and this is fantastic, by the way. Brian Eno's first 4 solo rock records, I think, are incredible. So that features a Moog, or Moog, whatever your preference is. Third one is show a record with a field recorded sound. So the first minute or so of this video featured a guy named Floris Van Hoof. The record is called Cycles of Confusion. He's a Belgian musician, instrument maker, artist, performer. And this particular record came out in 2012 with the limited edition of 300 copies. And you notice that all 4 corners are kind of bent, and that's because I found it languishing in a record store bin. It must have been there probably since it came out in 2012. This is the back. So the record has 2 halves. Side A is programmed music that he did, and side B is the side that has field recordings. So there's a really gross picture of looks like gum stuck to a rice cake. Horrible. So side B is described as this: through field recordings and the wonderful world of well-sounding voltages, this piece connects 2 documents which capture my journey in America. Playing a pinball machine, which we heard at the beginning, with sound effects by Suzanne Ciana, and a brass ensemble in the New Hampshire woods. Well, that comes later. So that each side is around 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. I think it's great. It's not something you rock out to on a Saturday night, but I think it's pretty good. So he does also homemade musical circuits and technologies and that kind of thing, which is really interesting. I don't know very much about him. It's the only one I have, and I think it's quite good. The next question is to show a record with a drone sound, and of course I immediately thought of the Velvet Underground, but I thought I'd pick something a little different, and that is this is a record from a guy that goes by the name of Lossell. You won't be able to see it because it's embossed here, and it's all in lowercase, Loscil. His name is Scott Morgan. He's from Vancouver, and he's an ambient musician. This came out in 2012. A very minimal cover to match the music. This is called Sketches from New Brighton. And again, this is sort of, I guess you'd say it's mellow, but it has droning parts of it in parts, and I think this is really excellent. It's sort of mood music. On the Cranky label, if you know Cranky, you'll know that they have put a lot of music out that would kind of fit this description. So I think this is really interesting music. All right, the next thing is to show a record with spoken word, and there's again a lot of things. Again, the Velvet Underground is occurred to me right away because of the gift and from the spoken words from John K. Also, Songs for Drella, which has a long spoken word piece that's narrated by John K. But I chose something closely allied with that, and that's Lou Reed. This is The Raven from 2003. Now, I know some people will say that Lou Reed always speaks or talks or speaks or whatever, but there are at least four deliberately spoken word tracks on here. One is called Valley of Unrest by Elizabeth Ashley. Elizabeth Ashley says the words. Lou Reed actually narrates a track called The Bed. Then we have Willem Dafoe reads The Raven, kind of dramatically, and Triptena's Speech by Amanda Palmer. There are other people on here as well. For example, Steve Buscemi sings on here. David Bowie sings on here. This is a triple vinyl release. Originally, this was released in 2 CD versions. There was a single CD which captured the highlights. Then there was a triple CD which had everything. And I think I have both of those. And then this came out in Record Store Day. I'm going to forget the year, but Record Store Day later. And this, to be honest, is not my favorite Lou Reed record, but I think like Leonard Cohen, I'm a Lou Reed completist. I don't mean to suggest that Leonard Cohen's a Lou Reed completist. I think I'm a Lou Reed and Leonard Cohen completist. That sounded funny. So yeah, I like this record. Parts of it are better than others, and I don't think it's for everyone, but it has spoken word on it. Next one is show a record with a processed instrument or voice, and the first thing I thought of was Laurie Anderson. Of course, my last video I talked about Home of the Brave, and that would fit because she does use a electric pitch shifting voice filter, and she does weird things with her she modifies the sound of her violin as well through some technology as well. But I want to show this record. This is Big Science from 1982, and this has a track called Oh Superman, which features a vocoder, which she uses in that song to manipulate her voice. That's a great track. This is a great album, by the way, if you don't know it. Right from beginning to end, I think it's fantastic. And so these would have appeared in her United States 4 album release. This is like I guess extracted from there to make it more marketable. But yeah, very interesting performance artist, very interesting music, and Oh Superman is a great track. It reminds me of there used to be a TV show called The New Music on City TV, which I watched religiously, and I remember seeing the video for Oh Superman and was like blown away. I thought it was just incredible, way back in the early 80s. So the next thing is to show a record from an artist on the Nurse with Wound list, and that is a list that appeared on the album entitled Chance Meeting on a Dissecting Table of a Sewing Machine and an Umbrella, the debut record from Nurse with Wound from 1979, although it was released in 1978. So on that record cover, if you look it up, you'll see the number of artists that are listed there. And so there's actually quite a long list, and I have quite a few of the artists that are mentioned there, from Cabaret Voltaire to Throbbing Gristle. But I decided to just pick Pere Ubu, who's also listed, and this is a 45 RPM EP, I guess you call it, Data Panic in the Year Zero. This was released in 1978, so before that record came out, before the Nurse with Wound record came out. And I picked this because I love Pere Ubu. I think they're fantastic. They're, well, I don't even know how to describe them. Avant-garde, perhaps, really unusual. And I chose this because this includes a song called 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, which I would say is, if I had to choose 5 favorite songs of all time, this might make it. Well, but it would definitely make the top 10. It might make the list of definitely top 10 songs of all time, maybe even higher. Because that song is just, if you've never heard it, you should listen to 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. This makes my day. So that was from that song was from 1975, but these 5 tracks, were collected in 1978. So I picked this because it came out before the first Nurse with Wound record, because it's pretty obvious that this would have been an influence, or maybe it was an influence. So the last one is to show a record featuring a toy instrument. And I thought of Kraftwerk, because I know the Pocket Calculator has a toy instrument on there, but I decided to choose something that is a toy but not an instrument. So on this Dazzle Ships record from OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, there's a track on here called Genetic Engineering, which uses a Texas Instruments Speak and Spell, which is a toy but not a instrument. So it's like, it's taking this a little bit further. It's not a toy instrument, it's just a toy. And it's a great song. This is the sort of, I guess you'd call this the experimental OMD record. I think there was a title of an article that came out after this, because it came out after Architecture and Morality, and it was like how to lose thousands of fans, and because this sort of irritated a lot of people. I love this record, and the first time I heard it, I was like a little confused, but I've grown to really like it, and I think it's one of their top works. Very influential. I think Radiohead said they were influenced by it, and a whole host of other people. So that's the last one, and that was fun. I wasn't sure I had the records to do this, but and I picked a couple that were more pop, like OMD and Leonard Cohen, more, I guess you would say, not so avant-garde, or not so experimental. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later.